basic thing is to understand about the keywords. Now, if we go to understand about the keywords, the question arises that what exactly is the keywords, right? So when we define the keywords, so keywords are nothing but some of these special names that are actually reserved in the Python language, right? Special names in the sense, right, we can say that whenever you write something here in the notebook, like let's say you have written and, let's say you have written or, these things you can see up in the bold letters, right? These bold letters are nothing but these are the keywords. And also when you write a function, inbuilt function and such things, that is in the green color but not the bold green color. If you can just see the difference there, then this is not bold but this is bold. So the bold letters or the bold characters are exactly your keywords, right? And the light green things you are getting there is your function. Okay. So what are keywords? We can't just define the keywords as the getting the green bold colors and all, right? That is not a proper definition of a keyword. So what exactly is a keyword, right? So keywords are nothing but some of the special names that are already present in Python, and we can use these keywords for specific functionalities while writing up any Python program, right? We'll be using up these keywords. So how many keywords are there in the Python? Okay, someone came, I think. Yes. So, well, to see the keywords, we'll just quickly write up help and we'll write keywords and we'll be getting up all the things. So there are 45, I think it's there in the 45 or something, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4, 36, 35. Okay. Who's there? No one. So these are all the keywords present inside this Python, right? So starting from false and getting up to the not, and you are seeing all of the keywords there, right? So these are the special names that are already present inside the Python, right? When you install Python, you get all these things present inside there previously, right? Okay, fine. And even if you want a kind of a list of all these things, then you can just import up the keyword module and then you can print those things or append those things inside a list, right? That is very easy again. So we'll be just importing this keyword and let's say that's the kw. So we'll be just printing all the kw list, and this is like all the keywords you are getting up there. Okay, the same thing exactly, but in the case of a list. Okay, fine. Then we go up to understand like what are comments. Okay, so comments in Python is a word or a sentence or anything, any character you write there for defining a code, for defining a block of codes, right? Okay. So a block comment in Python is written with the same indentation as you write the codes. But what is the difference between this normal line and normal code and a comment? In comment you write hashtags, right? You start any line with this hashtag is said to be a comment. Any line, any character starting up with the hashtag is said to be a comment. Okay? Well, so that is a comment, right? So comment are of two types. One is a single line comment, the other is a multi-line comment. Okay. So what is a single line comment? That's very simple, right? If you are writing something, single line comment, that's it. If you're writing something as double line and all, right? So more than one line of comment will give you a double line comment. That is it. So with this use of comment method, we can even write headings and the markdowns and all in this notebook, right? So that is an escape of 3 or something like you will be getting up a heading. So let's say now we are going to discuss about the variables. We'll be seeing up. So these are the variables. We'll be looking up to the let's say the data types. Please mute down. We're looking up to the strings or the types. All right. So we'll go one by one to all of the things. Right? There is some sort of spelling errors. Please mute. So what are variables and what are the data types I'm talking about? Right? I think I will have to mute it there. Who's the one there? Yeah. So what are variables? Variables are also nothing like these are some of the reserved. They have some reserved memory. You can say locations to store some values. So this look like a word, a character, a single alphabet, right? So these are just the you can say reserved memory locations to hold up some values, or you store some values inside this thing, right? They call as a variable. Okay. So this means that whenever you create a variable, right? When you create anything like there, right? So when you create a variable, you reserve some space memory there, right? And that is exactly defined in that way. So let's just say a variable. Let it be var, or let it be my variable, and I will be equating it with, let's say, welcome to Edu, right? So this is my variable. Got it? And similarly, the very basic thing. Similarly, I'm making a var which is my variable. So what are the things done here actually? So if you just print your my variable, what exactly you will be getting up? So you'll be getting welcome to Edu And what is this exactly? This is a string, right? That is stored inside my variable. And when we are printing the my variable, we are getting the value of this my variable, right? So whatever this is, we are getting the value. Okay. So if you want something to be printed there without the string, if you are writing inside the parenthesis of the print, you should always keep in mind that that is a variable, or that is having at least some values. Otherwise, if you are printing something which is not having any value and you are printing it without the string enclosed things, then it will make you an error, right? So my variable is having this welcome to Edu and what is this var is having? So var is having my variable, right? So var is holding the value of my variable, which is holding the value of welcome to Edu. So ultimately, you can say var is also holding the value of welcome to Edu. I think this is very clear, right? So that is how we define the variables. Now, what are the data types in Python we are having? The basic data types that leads. So, well, we'll start up. So the basic data types are the numeric type, next we have up the list, next we have tuple, and I think you must be aware with all these things, but still this is in your course, we'll be just doing it there. So dictionary, right? So these are the things exactly. Yep, missing something. One more is there. Okay. So string. So all these are a kind of your data types you're having in Python. Numeric type, the list, the tuples, the set, the dictionaries, and the strings. Okay? One. Okay. So these are the basic data types we are having. Now if we discuss about one of one, right, we'll be going to the numeric, the less, the tuples, the set and all, right. So inside this numeric data type, we have three kinds, that is integer, float and uh, complex, right. So what are integers, what are float and what are complex? We'll just see it by the example. So integer are all the whole numbers that are positive, negative, but not are having any decimal or any fractional values. So we'll say it as, let's say x comma y is equals to 3 comma 4, right? And we'll quickly see the type of an x and the type of y. We are having integer in both the kinds, right? Now if we say about the floats, so float are the numbers which are having a float value, right? And that is exactly having any decimal numbers or having any fractional values. That is a float. So how can we define a float? Let's say you're having Q and R and you say it to be 3.4, 5.6 and like this, right? So what is the type of Q? What is the type of an R? We'll check it to be a float, right? So when you have any number as a decimal point or as a float, as a fractional value, you will get a float out there. Let's say you are writing W is equals to 12 by 30. 12 by 30. So what is the type of this W? So this is a float, right? So you'll be getting up the things, right? If you mention up the categories and all, right? Next we have complex. Now this is very interesting, right? In complex, you might have read in class 11 about the complex numbers, right? That is exactly a combination of a real number and an imaginary part, right? So let's say you're having x and y, and that is, please join at the time, right? Because I don't see regular at this meeting ID there, right? Okay. So x and y would be like, let's say this, right? Now what is x and what is y? These are basically a complex numbers. If I say these are the complex numbers, then a complex number, as I say, that is having a real and an imaginary part. Now what is the real part and what is the imaginary part I'm talking about, right? So if we see the x, what is the real part in this x? A number. What is an imaginary part in that? Just is that iota one, or we can say the imaginary part is like I, j you're having there, right? So x dot imaginary. We'll run this. And you can see 23j is the complex number. Real part is 0.0. Why? Because there is no real part exactly, right? You are having an imaginary part, that is 23j. Okay, so that is the imaginary part. Now similarly to that, if I say this y dot real, y dot imaginary, I'll find it to be 34 minus 5j as my y value, where 34 will be my real and minus 5.0 will be my imaginary. I think this is also clear to you guys. All right. Moving up to next thing. Next we'll be discussing about this strings, right? So what are strings? Okay, and we'll be also looking towards the operators. So let's just begin the operators first before going to this. So if we talk about the operators, there are several operators in Python to be discussed. Like you have arithmetic operators, you have comparison operators, you have membership operators, logical operators, identity operators, or assignment operators, right? So let's just start up with the arithmetic. That is a very basic operator and the first one to be discussed, right? So what is arithmetic operator? As the name gives you a suggestion, right? That you use the basic arithmetic operations like 1 plus 2 minus 3 multiply 4 and all those. So let's say there's 1 plus, or let's say you have the values, right? X and Y. Let's just take A and B. So this is A and B I'm having as 2 and 4. So what we'll do now, we'll give some values or we'll do some basic operations and how to do those things. Let's say a plus b will give you things, right? This is not to be discussed, right? So it's only the operations you could see, multiplied by b, divided by b, right? So all these are the common one, right? Everyone knows about this. What is addition, what is subtraction, multiplication, and division, right? Apart from this, you have more two things, right? You have exponentiation and you have float division, and also you have modulus. All right. Now, what are these things? Let's say if we want to find any division, right? If we see a divided by b getting as 0.5 by 2 by 4 is equals to 1 by 2, which is equals to 0.5, obviously, right? But if you want only the integer value, in that case, we'll be using it with respect to the integer division, and you'll be getting it as 0. Similarly, if you divide anything and you want to see the remainder, you can use this modulus and you can find out the remainder even. So 2, what is it there? So let's just give that 100 divided by 3 and leaves the remainder as 1. That is what the remainder says to you. Okay. The addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, and exponentiation is there. That is right. 2 to the power of 5, 32, right? 10 to the power 2, 100, right? That. Okay. Next we come up to comparison. Now the comparison operators, you basically compare the values on either sides of them, right? So and you decide the relationship among them, right? Whether it is a greater or a lesser value, and then you come out with the values as a discrete one, right? You say whether this is correct. For correct it is 1, or you can say true, and for false it is always 0, or let's say it is false, right? Alright, so what are the things, right? Let's say if I say that x is equals to 2 and y equals 4, and I want to check whether this x is equals to 2 or not, so I'll be checking it x is equals to, x is equals to 4. So that is a false statement because x is equals to 2. Right, x is equals to 2. Oh, it is also not 2. Oh, sorry, this is a. Sorry, a is equals to 2. Right. If I write a is equals to 4, that is exactly false. But if I write a is not equals to 4, then it is also a correct statement because a is not equals to 4. Right. So these are the first two operators, that is equals to or not equals to. So if the two values of the two operands are equal on both the sides, the condition will be true, right? In this case. And if it is not equal, then the conditions will be false. And in this case, if values of the two operands are not equal, right, then the outcome will be true. And if it is equal, then the outcome will be false. Very similar and very same to the things. Okay. Moving. So the next is like if we compare a is greater than 5, obviously false because a value is 2. 10 is less than 45, true. 10 is less than equals to 67, right? And what this less than equals to means? So if the value of the left operand is greater than or equals to, like, or you can say, sorry, so lesser than or equals to the value of the right operand, right? Then it comes as true, the value comes as true. But in case, if you write any statement, let's say 30 is greater than equals to 30, right? Now if the value of the left operand is greater than or you can say equal to the value of the right operand, if it is so, then the condition will be true, or if it say it can be false, right? So if any one of the conditions satisfies, that is even if it is greater or if it is equal, any one condition satisfies, you'll be getting a true result out there. Okay, next. So these are your comparison operators, how you compare other things. Okay, now we'll see to look over to the assignment operators. Now in the assignment operators, we are using this from the very first line, that is x equals to y equals to a equals to. Well, what are doing exactly there, right? You are exactly assigning the values to the variables you are having. Okay. So let's say this is an assignment operator. Now, if I say x is equals to x plus 5, and apart or in place of using this statement, if I see the value of x is equal to 10, obviously, right? But what we can do for shorting up this thing, right? So there are the operators 5, and you get there x. Similarly, you do all the things for there, and I hope you all know about this, right? So just going up at a glance over there. Okay, so like this you do up the things in the assignment operators. Similarly, you have membership operators when you have anything. So membership operators and all we'll be discussing up in later ones, right? Let's say, let's discuss it here. So let's say this is S and it having some numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now if I say there's 3 in S, right? So I want to check whether this 3 lies in X or not, S or not. So 3 is there, right? If I say 12 or 15 in S, that is a wrong statement. But if I say 15 not in S, that is a correct statement, right? So two kind of things are there. In membership, you have in and not in. That in the in, it is true if the value or the variable you are writing is found in the sequence or the series or the data type you have defined. And in the not in, it is true if the value or the variable you are using is not found in the sequence. Okay, so for both cases, the conditions are different. And then we have something called as a logical operator, and that is logical is very easy, right? So that are basically used in one of the conditional statements, basically to when you have a discrete condition or you want any discrete outputs. So three kind are the and, the or, and the not. How are these used? And how they give you the discrete values. Let's say if of the two operands you are having a correct result, that is you are having 1 and 1 and you are using and between them. So 1 and 1 will be giving you 1, right? That is 1 and 1 will be giving you 1, that is true and true will be giving you the true result. Similarly, if I write 1 and 1, 1 and 0, right? Making up the combinations, sorry, 0 and 1, 0 and 0. When I run this, everything is 0 apart from the first try, that is 1 and 1. So when you are using and, make sure that if both of the cases are correct, only then you will be getting your true result, right? And only then you will be able to execute the commands you are writing there. Next, there is OR. In the OR, what happens if any of the side is a correct side, then overall result is correct, right? That is the OR. Here you can find that only when the condition is 0 and 0, that is none of the value is correct, only there you will be getting up a false result, otherwise everything is correct. And how not works, that is not of 1, right? Sorry, this is a bit sorry. So this is not of 1, so false. Okay, or you say not of true, that is false. This is how it working. Okay, so I believe this is clear to you guys. So membership, identity, logical, and all these are clear to you guys. Now, okay, 1 minute. Now, in Python, we have some of the modules, right? Or you can say some of the libraries, not exactly the libraries, but these are the modules like the math module, calendar module, the time module. I think you must be aware of those things, right? So if you're not aware, we have for the maths and for the calendar problems, we have also in the assignments. So how to deal up with the calendar problems and all, right? Let's say if you are asked to print the calendar of this particular month or any particular month of any particular year, right? Let's say you have been asked to print a calendar of January month of 2090, right? Not 19, that is 90, 2090 or 3000 something. So you want to print a calendar of those things, right? So how can you do that, right? It's very easy. Just have to import up your calendar and right, you need to print up your month or any year calendar. You have been asked like to print a month calendar. So which month calendar you want to print? Let's say for current month, so it is going 8. And which year you want to print? Let it be 2020, right? The same year I'm taking now. So what you want to print is a calendar of a month, define the year and the month, and there will be the result of that particular thing. So that is August 2020, and you can see. And today is, if you want even to find up the dates, you can even find with the date time modules. So if you want to see up your date too, you can use the date time and you can get it there. I'll be looking at right how to find the dates and how to find the times. So this is a calendar of a particular month and in respective year you want, right? But when you want a calendar of a whole year, so what to do in that case? So print a calendar and a total calendar of a year. So define the year, let it be for 2020. So this is the total calendar of the year 2020. And even you can find it for any particular year. You can even change out the width, the height and all you want to. Okay, you can even change those things. But that depends on how you are printing up your things inside there. Okay, so whenever you are asked to print up, so you can just easily and quickly complete everything, I believe, right? So that is all about the calendar. If you want to check a leap year or you want to write see some date times and all. So we'll be looking up for the date times, how to print up a date, current date, and the current day of a week, right? How many days are there in the week and all those things. So we'll be looking up those things so that you will be clear with the modules and the questions coming inside the modules over there. Okay, fine. So like I mean to say about how many days are there from that starting day or from that day you want to find some days, let's say, right? So how can you do there that thing? So you have another module that is import date time. So let's say today date you want, so you are saying date time dot date dot today. That's it. So you see your today, and you can find it that this is 25/8/2020. Okay, but you should print it in some respectives so that to get up the values, not exactly the functions. So this is 25/8/2020, and you can change out the format of the printing values we are getting out there. Okay. Print the range of few months in a calendar. Didn't get your exact question. Okay. Fine. So they are getting up your date and all. And if you want to calculate it from some particular date, then you can take it as like past or your any day from where you want to see, let's say from today or the next day or any such date, let's say for sample date. So sample date is being taken now. So the format as it is, we'll be writing, let's say it's 2020 and or let's say for 2021 and the current date is 25, it will be 8 and it will be the same 25. Okay, so let these things be the same as it is given. Okay, now what you can do is you can find the difference as print the sample minus the today, and if you see from today and the next year with the same date, it will be obviously 365 days. Okay, so like this you can make up your questions, right? Easy, like it's two-line answer. Okay, fine. Next, moving up to the different kind, right? So we have cleared up the basic lens and all. Okay, fine. Yeah, so next is the type conversion. So in type conversion is like type casting also it is said to be. So two kind of things are there. One is implicit typecasting and the other is explicit typecasting. So the implicit typecasting means that automatically when your data type changes. And explicit is when you enforce the data to change its type. And how is this thing? So right, we have discussed about the integer, the float and the complex, right? There is one more category that is string. As I said, we'll be discussing about the strings too. So there is something called a string, right? So anything you write or anything you enclose within a single code or a double quote, that are strings. Okay, any characters you enclose them. So let's say I'm writing x is equals to string. So what is the type of this x? If I see what is the type it is holding up there, so it is a string category. Now, if I use this print method to print str, so it says that this is a class of a string. Now, anytime when you see a type of any such variable which is having a string type, you will get an output as this, right? That is class of a string. So see, print the type of t. See the what is it? X. You can see the same thing. Okay. Fine. So that is like the type changing. If I talk on that, so let's say this is an integer and I want to convert this in the float. So I can simply write their float and can run this and you can see that. So this is an explicit type, right? Because that was an integer and you enforced to make it as a float. But when I take an integer and when I write it with some float, so in that case, it automatically becomes a float. Right? When you add any 2 to 3.0, what you do? You make it as 5.0, right? That is an implicit change in the data type you do automatically. And the upper one is the one you have enforced to change. So these are the two type things, right? The changing things. If I say I use a complex of 45, so it will be 45 plus 0j. But if I say an str of x or 34, it will be enclosed within the single quotes. Alright, these are the things. Like, so this is to be very kept in mind, like when you want to print any variable or any number with some string, it will be printed up there, right? But when you do up the addition. So when you do the string replication, that is doing operations on the string with the numbers, and when you're writing it in place of multiplication, you're adding up with some str or with some string, right? So in that case, when you run up the things, it is very important to see whether these two types are same or not. If it is not same, then you have to make it there, right? So you can write it an str. Okay, so you can write an str of any number to make it as a string. So let's say here in the case of writing it even as a 12, you can write the string of a 12, 23 or 12 with this whatever you want to print str. It will be just joined and printed there, right? But remember, uh, don't use this quotes every time. Use str. Why? Because let's say if this is 45 and you want to print it as x equals to x, like this. If you are writing it like this, right, in that case you'll be getting x and x in both the things, right? That is not a correct way of writing up the things, right? Because this x will print exactly the you can say exactly the string, not the value of this x. So if you want the value, you have to write as an xtr of x, and then you can see up the values. There are a lot of things to, a lot of methods exactly if you know of the things, right? So if you know, there are a lot of methods to print up these things, comma, %d, format, and a lot are there. Okay. Fine. So when I say that these strings you apply in this date time to see a different format, like if it is today is if it is 25, 8 and 20 and you want to change the type you are getting, you could use strf of time or strp of time and you can get it there, right? Like we want to change this today not strf time, okay, and then define in which format you want exactly. Let's say if you want as this %m and %20. Let's say you want in this format and you run this, it'll be getting 25, 8, 20. And you define in which format you want, right? And if you want it to be inside even the days and all, so you can even write those things, right? So today dot, let's say str of time, and you mention it to be the day, exactly the weekday what it is, or the days, right? That is the day, and you want the month name, even what is going on, and the year what is being taken. So you'll be getting as like today is Tuesday, 25 August, and 2020. So these are actually the formats you are using in this string type to get up with the things. Okay, cool. Fine. Moving up. So these are the string types and all the things, right? Moving there. What else are there? Comparison completed. Conditional here starts and here it goes up with the string methods. Cool. Now, I didn't get your questions, Raghavi. You just write it there again. What exactly you want to print? You're asking how to print a range of few months in the calendar. Now, how exactly, like I didn't get like what a range of months. So you can write there. I'll be briefing how to go with your program. Alright. So next is your math module. So import math. Okay. So this math module is having a lot of functions to operate up the mathematical questions. So like let's say you want a square root or something. So you can simply write sqrt and square of the number is 8 or 6, whatever you want, sqrt, and like You can even write from math, you import the sqrt as sq, right? So I'll be just writing a square root of 3, and this is as per you take the formats and the modules according to you. Okay. Okay. So inside this math module, let's say that you have been given a radius and you have been asked to calculate an area or something like that. So to calculate an area of a circle, right, what is exactly the area? What is the formula of that? That is pi r square, right? That is pi r square. It's pi multiplied by r multiplied by square. But when you run this, it will say that pi is not defined. So what to do? Hmm? So you can write it there that you want math.py. Now you'll get an error now. This r about. So if you have taken this r, then it's fine. So have we taken r anywhere else? Hmm? So let's say it to be math.py. So the value is 3.14. So let's say you haven't taken r as okay. Now there is one more function, that is an input function. You all know about that, right? So let's take an input in the float and let it be enter the radius. So we'll be taking up the radius, and after the radius we'll be just printing out the things that the area is equals to the format of uh, pi, sorry, maths.py multiplied by r and the square of the, right, and that is you enter any radius and you'll be getting the area over there. So this is how you can import up the things. All right. Yeah, okay, got it. So you can apply your month name and like the starting month from where you want to the ending month you want, and then you can get the calendar of that. Right, so you have to define the dates particularly. You can say that is in date range of a calendar of that particular thing, right? So you can go with that, right? And for more reference, what you can see is apply the date range and then you can go with that. So let's say you want an help of date time. So here you can see the date time. You can go with the date time delta, or there are a lot of functions from which what you can do, like the maximum, the minimum, and the class date time, what it does, or the time combine. A lot of things are there. You can go with this, right? And if you don't get up the things here, what you can do is you can click on this link. There it is. So click on this link. You will taken straight away to the Python library basic date times type, and you can find up your things here, like what you exactly want. From this time delta, what I'm saying to use, right? You can put a range and you can get the dates or the weeks or anything you want, like between an interval. You can see 9 years, 10 years. Inputs have been taken, and you are getting up the values with respect to that. Okay. You can see it there, or you want, I can give you in the link. Just go through it at once. Now, okay, so clear up the things, right? Now we'll be looking up to the if else. If you remember of the things, right, how you see in the if else, what are the things there exactly. So in the if else, or I say elif, or you say conditional statements, we have some sort of three kind of conditional statements we use, and within that the priority is your if, right? So first of all, what you do is you have three paths to go, right? You can go with the if path, you can go with the else path, you can go with the elif path. Now the very first thing, the first path what comes to you as your if. Now, if you see that this path is not good for you, then you go for some different path. So, if you have conditions, right? If you have choice, like in life, everyone has choice, right? So, if he fails in this, then there should be another plan for the heck. Okay, like we do in the plannings. So there is exactly a three planning step. So you go in the first plan and you see it is not fruitful for you. You move on to the second plan, that is the LF. So if you have choices in your plan, then it's okay. But if you have only one plan, then you go for if, and you see if your plan doesn't works, you quit, and that quit or something else, it's said to be an else statement. Yeah, right. So let's say that if so we are just making a program of checking out users email ID domain. So let's say there is a user and its Gmail is, let's say, John Carter at the rate of gmail.com. And the passwords to be JCTREW. Sorry. JCTREW. Okay. Now what we can do, we can take a user input, and that could be an input, and what are usually if else work. So enter user name and you'll be entering up those things. Now if this u is equals to the user, right? If it is equals to this, then print something like, right, print okay, welcome and all. And if it is not like, then print wrong input or something like that. So let's say if I am writing abx at the rate of gmail.com, this is a wrong input, and this is like normal if else how this thing runs. Okay. Now, if you want to check a domain, so for checking a domain, you must do some more 3-4 kind steps, right? So what you can do is you can split this with respect to at the rate. Let it be there. So you can split it with respect to the at the rate, and then you say if the u of the 0, or if the u of -1 is equals to gmail.com, then okay, otherwise wrong input. So now even if I write it as gmail.com, I get okay. Now why? Because I am not checking it for this John Carter now, right? I'm just looking for this username of the, right. So if I see my u, I'll be having two things, right? abc and gmail.com, where I'm checking up the things, right? Now if I say John Carter at the rate of yahoo dot co dot in, so that will be a wrong input, right? Not because of this n is having a gap, because of the domain I'm using. So I'm using .yahoo.co.in. That is not exactly a correct domain for working inside a gmail.com. So if you see your you'll be having yahoo.co.in there, and this is to be taken on the check, right? That is how it works, if and else. So that is like if you say your c is equals to 5, a very basic program. If c is equals to 5, then if c is greater than 5, then we print greater. And if we have three conditions, if c is equals to even 0, or let's say integer input from the user, why to take up with our own things. So if c is equals to 0, then we are just going to print zero. And now if you have only one choice, right? So if it is not greater than, if it is even not equals to 0, or not greater than 0, well, if it is greater than 0, this will be a positive. If it is 0, 0, and if it is not even greater, not even equals, then obviously it will be a negative one, right? Because only three things can be happen. So this is a negative. So let's say you have written any number. Sorry, this is 4. So it is greater than 0 as a positive 1, minus 8 a negative 1, 0 a 0. Fine. This is how it runs. So if else is how this happens, right? All the basic things. Okay. Now there can be a lot of programs with the respective of if or else to find out like uh, for splitting up the things or to find when they do up the some calculations, like you upload some files on the web. When you upload the files on the web, what is being first search of, right? Let's say you have a format and you are only checking let's say this format, right? So format is there one kind of where you have only to upload a png or a jpg or a kind of file which is a JPEG, right? So you can only upload these kind of files. So you take an input from the user, let it be to the if name, enter file name. That is very easy, right? So enter the file name, and what you do then next of the thing, that is split it with respect to the dot, and if the length of your f name is greater than equals to 2, right? Because when you split up the things, at least there must be some two things, right? So if it is greater than equals to 2, then we are going to check again that if did I first write things. So the extension after splitting up things, f name of -1 dot the lower. So now if this f name extension lies in this format I'm having, if it is such, then we'll write upload successful. And if it is not inside the format, then we'll print uploading failed. And you can write invalid format. Okay, and if you want, even you can even like display what format the user is using. And in this else, what we can say, like if the file is even not splitted up, we can write file error. Okay, we'll run this, write any file name, let's say book.pdf. So uploading failed, invalid format, PDF is not a good format to upload other things. Let's say JPG. So did we get some errors? The JPG is not present. File error by oh sorry. So JPEG only you are writing up there, and that is like not a file. Why? Because you haven't used any extension, right? So if you use like JPG.jpg, because there should be something to be spread it out, right? And there you can get your file uploaded successful, right? So you can even write f name of the 0 and then uploaded successful. Run this. So book dot jpg. So book uploaded successful. Okay. Like this, can be a lot of methods for solving any problems or looking up to this methods in Python. Okay.